You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. What do you see being the biggest problem in Camden?
I see lack of opportunity, hopelessness, and because of the lack of opportunity and hopelessness, a lot of times people get depressed and they give up.
Many of today's young people want to be rappers or some type of entertainer. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what they see on television, and they're under this false illusion that what they see on the video, that's always the reality, and they see that as success. And a lot of girls and people respect that, so they gravitate towards that because they want to be somebody and be important too. But that's not the only way to be successful. That's what I believe.
If you had unlimited funds and help, what would you do to make things better in Camden?
I would help people like Dr. Umar Johnson, whether you believe what someone's religion or spiritual beliefs are. Some things affect everybody. We have to stop letting religion and beliefs separate us and come together as a people. And I would get with some of the top educators that I could come across, and I would donate the money to start. Everything starts with the mind. And I would want to help educate people with a superior education to give them a chance at a real opportunity. And I would get with people like him to help build schools to re-educate the people and deprogram them and give them a real education.
Do you think that there are enough role models in the city of Camden? Why or why not?
I believe there are some good role models. How many, I don't know. But maybe these people haven't been exposed and they're not known about, maybe. Whereas though maybe someone can put something together and bring these people an event or something and bring them to the forefront so they can get recognized for who they are and their work, and they can start working with people and help them.
There seems to be a lot of changes going on in the city of Camden. Are the things you see going on beneficial or hurtful to residents?
In my personal opinion, I believe it's not really helping the people, because if you claim you're in one of the poorest cities of the nation and you don't have any tax base, you're always crying about money, then why give these big Fortune 500 companies and these big corporations, why give them a pilot tax or whatever tax break, and then a couple years later they can keep changing the name so they can get the tax benefit and break up that, and you're letting them come here, make them pay the tax just like anyone else, and they're not paying taxes. They 20 years exempt or whatever, and then some of them, they're not even really hiring. They should have to hire so many people from the city of Camden and get them properly trained, not to have a mediocre position or job, but to have a leading role, like a lot of responsibility, and be in an executive position. We do have college graduates who've been to Ivy League schools and other universities who are educated and who can fulfill those positions, and they should have to hire so many people in the city, pay the tax, and hire so many people within the city, and that, I believe, will help the people in the city of Camden.
Well, what do you think will make the city of Camden a better place for our people?
Real education taught in these schools, not what you want to give us, but something that they can compete in the world on an intellectual educational scale where they can go far. And through education, through opportunities, things to keep the children off the street, give them some activities to do, employment, and it starts at home. It takes a village to raise a child, but it starts at home with the parents being of sound mind and being decent people and raising your children properly. It starts in the home, so you have to start them when they're young with some decency and respect and mannerism and home training.
When you hear people talk about public safety, what do you think about?
What I think is As far as police, fire, they're nothing to compromise and nothing that should be played with, because you're putting the people who are doing that job at risk and you're putting the citizens at risk. It's not about saving a dollar. It's about being effective to protect the employee and the citizens. And I believe as far as the fire department, they shouldn't be closing companies. You need all the companies open that you have. As far as the police department, when they done away with the Camden City Police Department and came with the Metro, a lot of them come here and it's a whole different world from where they used to be police officers at. You don't give a person a ticket because they don't have a flashlight or one of them lights and they're riding their bike at night. You have much more important things to be worrying about. Somebody jaywalking. I mean, come on. But yet you'll ride in your car and ride right by the drug dealer and won't even open your mouth to him. A man sitting on a step, on an abandoned house step, he's not bothering nobody, you harassing him. I mean, come on. The law enforcement, you're not exempt. I think they should do their job and do their job properly and respect people and not use police brutality and not harass people. You're paid to protect and serve, not bother and harass. And if you're there for the people, and if you won't do your job effectively, then you will be subject to the law if you're found guilty like anyone else. And we'll get rid of you. That's what I think.
What programs or services do you think is needed for our young people?
Again, it all goes back to education. And they need to be taught properly so when they come out, they can learn a craft or skill right now. They don't have to wait till they go to college and graduate high school and things like that. They can work a craft, a skill now, so they can learn now how to make money while they're going to school. And they can teach them things that is relevant to them, something they can relate to, things they like doing. Ask them, what do you like doing? What do you want to be? What do you want to learn about? And start teaching them things now. And again, all back to education and opportunity.
Why do you think people in Camden are so reluctant or resistant to change?
Well, they say there are exceptions to the rules, but they say you're a product of your environment. And if you hanging around negative people, or people who is not doing anything, a lot of times people follow that. It all starts in the home and what you want to be, what's in your mind. I think that some people are reluctant of change because they've given up hope. They gave up on themselves instead of striving and hanging in there and go after what they want.
Why do you think the city of Camden is so much different than neighboring cities?
I believe that has to do with education. I believe that has to do with economics. You have people in your neighboring towns where if you look at the income, a lot of their incomes are a lot higher than the city of Camden. You have a lot of people in the city of Camden living below the poverty line. And when people get desperate and they're living below the poverty line, sometimes people do illegal things just to put food on their table and survive. And then you have the drug element. People look at drugs as opportunity. They sell them, make some money. It's not the right thing to do, but that's what some people make the wrong choice and do. And you got people on drugs, and you have that everywhere, but not an open-air drug market like Camden versus Cherry Hill. That's because they're not going to allow you to have an open-air drug market in Cherry Hill. The same way they don't have to allow you to have that in the city of Camden either.
Why do you think the city of Camden doesn't embrace or promote academics the way they do sports?
That, I can give you my opinion on it. I believe that a lot of times you show people this image of acting, singing, movies, sports figures, but the reality of it is most people don't make it in that. And they may be good enough, but most don't make it in those fields. And, sometimes we have to basically put everything in its proper place and proper perspective. Keep them fooled with these illusions to keep them from thinking and doing something productive. I believe if you want to be a singer, a rapper, actor, sports figure, whatever, have your education to go along with that. So don't give up on your dream. If that doesn't work out for you, you have education where you can still be important in the world and do something that the world needs in today's time.
Besides sports, dance, and entertainment, what else is there for young people to do in Camden?
That I really don't know, because I don't know all the opportunity or everything that's going on in the city as far as things that they have for young people. And I do know you have people like Wawa, Miss Green, who does something to help keep the young girls off the street with the dance. But you said you wanted something besides that. Whatever they have, you have guys have martial arts schools. You have the Croc Center. You have some of these churches where they have programs where they have young people helping. So I'm sure there are some different positive things going on that I may not be aware of, all of them. But again, it starts in the home.
Do you think that voting or not voting can help with what's going on in Camden?
Well, I will say this. You can vote all day long. The powers, we know that there's corruption on the lower level, on the city level, as far as the national level, all the way to D.C. So you can vote all day long. He who pays the fiddler calls the tune. We know that there's corruption all day long in politics. So your voting may help, but for the most part, you can vote all you want. If you have corrupted people behind the scenes, your voting is really not going to matter. I'm not saying don't vote, but we have to look at the reality. We're not going to be emotional. We have to look at the reality of it. And we know politics is a politrix. And you can vote all day long. They're going to do what they want to do. And the reason that I do vote is because if you don't vote, and exercise, if you are paying tax dollars, you should have the right to say what goes on in your town where you pay your tax dollars. You are a citizen, and you should vote, especially when your ancestors been beat and murdered, for you to have that privilege. So I exercise my right because of the sacrifices that my ancestors before me been beaten, murdered, and that they have made for me to exercise that right. So when you don't vote, at least you tried. If things don't go, however, or the right way, and they still corrupt, at least you tried to vote and make a change. And those people didn't go through all that in vain, the struggle that they went through. So that's why I exercise my right to vote, and I say yes, still vote.
What problems, if any, do you see with youth and adult relationships?
Well, it all goes back to respect. You can't start trying to teach them respect when they 15 and 16. It has to start from day one when they get here. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, hello, thank you, things like that. You have to start teaching them at home from the time that they're a little child. And if you start teaching them properly from the time that they're an adult, they will relate. A child will relate better to an adult if they're taught respect, where you won't have it where, oh, these young people today so disrespectful, then there's a clash, there's a problem between the youth and the adult. Because if you teach that young person respect from the beginning, a lot of that comes down to respect. And when they interact with adults, a lot of time it won't be like a conflict because they know to respect them. And if they do that, then a lot of times the adult will respect them as well. In most cases, there are exceptions, but in most cases it comes down to home training and respect.